us three are in a group chat, and we text throughout the week as far as more so coming up to the stream, like, hey, what do we want to cover, what do we want to talk about? And so I shot a question into the group text, and Dre just swooped in with probably the best question that we could possibly cover today. I had dropped it on the channel as a post of just one side of it, the question of what is it that Michigan does really well as a program? Like, what is something that they can hang their hats on? And what is something that they don't do well that they need to improve on as a program overall, not just a single year, but just what they do as a program? So, number one, I thought that was a great question by Dre. Just he's been dropping gems. He's back. He's on fire. I think having his little daughter has just really inspired. He's just got a flame burning inside of him. I don't know if it's lack of sleep or what it is, but it's been
Changing,
awesome.
man. Circumstances.
But I'll toss it to you first because you posed the question, and we chatted a little bit about it today. But I'll toss it to you. You pick your strength or weakness, or if you want to go through both and kind of roll from there.
Yeah, I'll go through both. So it's when you take a step now that you take a step back and you look at the University of Michigan program, and look, fact of the matter is there's no real perfect program. There's always something if you really take a good look at it. Some have a lot more strengths than others. Some have more weaknesses than others. But there, if you really pay attention, there has to be something that you can pick and say, what that could take us to the next level, or that is holding us back. I mean, even Alabama, as dominant Deck says, Alabama fan, as dominant as y'all had as a program down there, there's definitely things that you could improve on, because if it wasn't, then you would win every single year. There's some hole that you could fill. So for Michigan, as a Michigan fan, and I'll stick to the last, I'll stick to the Harbaugh era, because that's the era we're in. That's the era we're going to stay in. Looks like for the foreseeable future, unless he gets the NFL itch again, which he says he never will, but we never know with Jimmy. um, I would say one thing that they do well is that they seem to find a way to get hitting gems in their recruiting, and then find a way to get these kids to play above their perceived potential, and on the college ranks, and in some cases having to find a spot on the next level in the NFL. I think about recent history, like guys like Hassan Haskins. Hassan Haskins came as a 2 to 3 star running back. He was not recruited very highly because he's not fast. This is out of his own words, and a lot of schools didn't think he had what it takes, the speed to be a big time running back in college football. And he proved that wrong. He went to Michigan. The coach staff saw him, identified him, and they gave him opportunity, and he ran with it. I think about Ronnie Bell. Ronnie Bell in high school was pretty much a basketball player. That was his number one sport, if I'm not mistaken. I think he did play football as well, but football wasn't his number one sport growing up. And they identified him. He wasn't highly ranked coming out of high school, and they helped turn him into, I think, a legitimate, really good college receiver. We don't know if he has a future in the NFL, but I think if before his injury last year, he was probably top 7, top 10 receiver in the conference. I think that's pretty good. So I think about Chase Winovich. Chase Winovich was not highly ranked coming out of high school. He went to Michigan, identified him, to give him an opportunity, to help him develop, and now he not only was a really good college player, but now he's found a role in the NFL. I think about gosh, help me. Do you guys remember his first name? One of the Glasgow brothers, just the latest one. He was
Graham, I think.
no Graham
Mm,
Sagard. He's the youngest Glasgow brother. Guys, if you can help me in the chat, please do that. He's the youngest of the Glasgow brothers. He's not nearly as big as they are. Wasn't a high recruit coming out of high school. And I mean, for God's sakes, Mr. Mustache, Dr. Blitz, uh, had him at times playing on the line, even though he was, clearly a linebacker size. But now he plays, I believe, for the Colts as a special teams player. My point is that they do a really good job of fighting hidden gems and helping kids get better than times they were perceived coming out of high school. Now, on the flip side of that, they also ought to digest. The flip side of that, I think they can get better at the times when they do get these highly ranked recruits, these 5-star kids, right? You're not going to bat 1,000. Recruit the high-star kid. He's a great player and all is well. But I just feel like at times when we get the 4-star, the 5-star kids from transfer or recruiting, they're underwhelming more times than not at Michigan. I think about guys like Shea Patterson. Underwhelming. I won't call him a bust. Oh, I won't say he was terrible, but very underwhelming. I think Donovan Peoples-Jones was underwhelming at Michigan. He had moments. Not call him a bust. He was a solid player. But I think he had a lot more in the tank. And I think you saw that once he got to the NFL. He was a 6th-round pick by the Browns. And he ended up being a contributing player, and I believe actually starting for them before he got hurt last year. And showing and making plays and doing things that he never showed at Michigan on a consistent basis. So I mean that bothers me. I don't like to see those type of things. Rashawn Gary. We bring this kid in. He's the best player in the country. And he's a solid player, a good player for Michigan, but he wasn't the best defensive lineman in the country. Never at any point. I never felt that he was viewed nationally as an impact player in terms of game record, not like a Jonathan Allen, not like a Joey Bosa, not like a Aiden Hutchinson, never on that level, right? So I think that's an area that Michigan can improve on. Because if you're able to get the hidden gems and help them get better, oh my God, can you imagine what your program would be when you do get the highly ranked kids and they get their potential? Now you're talking about being on the elite level. So that's where I kind of view them. I think they've done a good job with the lesser kids and could do better with the higher ranked kids.